Hey guys, in today's video, I'll be giving you guys my early prediction for the All Blacks 2023 Rugby Championship squad. Before I do so, a lot of you guys right now, and definitely subscribe to our channel. But yeah, as you can see here, we do have another tier list. This is the way we'll be judging them as usual. In terms of props, hookers, locks, loose forwards. We got scrum-halves, fly-halves, centers, and winger/slash fullbacks. I mean, in general, we're gonna have 52 players, I believe, to be exact. We'll be looking at, but again, we're gonna have to narrow that down towards 33, as we do want a 33-man squad. So at the end of the day, it's gonna be a pretty hard call, really, for a lot of these players. I have added a few bolters in there, as you expect, because a lot of players who haven't represented the All Blacks have done pretty well this year. So I just think it's right to kind of say if I believe they'll get into this Rugby Championship squad or not. But yeah, other than that, let's get straight into this. So as you can see here, guys, we do have the props, which is Aiden Ross, Ethan de Groot, Joe Moody, Alex Hodgman, Opticon Fassi, Tyrell Lomax, Neville Lalala, Tamati Williams, and Angus Talbot. Out of all of them, I think Aiden Ross, I think probably Ethan de Groot, and I would say I'd tell you Joe Moody are probably the three in terms of who I would select in terms of that loose head position. Again, Alex Hodgman is close. He's not really close because he hasn't been playing a lot of minutes. I mean, he would have been close last year, but again, a lot of changes. And I think Aiden Ross has been brilliant for the Chiefs this year. Again, a lot of Chiefs players could make my team just because they've been pretty impressive throughout this whole year, not even losing a game, which is incredible to think. But again, even the Groot, another player who's been solid for the All Blacks. He kind of had a comeback here, you could say, last year, not featuring in that Irish series, but then came back in the Rugby Championship squad, did pretty well, and then continued that form in the All Nations. So yeah, he's definitely a player you can rely on now and in the future. So he's definitely in my Rugby Championship squad. And then, yeah, Joe Moody, again, I think you just got to go with Joe Moody here. It's just one of the obvious ones. He brings you a lot of experience. And, yeah, again, he has been playing a lot more minutes now with George Bauer, who is actually out for the rest of the Super Rugby season, as well as the Rugby World Cup. So, yeah, that does kind of rule him out for the Rugby Championship entirely as well. So it's one of those where, yeah, it's a big omission because, Ian Foster would have selected him 100%. But because of that, I just think that that's the guaranteed free now in terms of the loose heads. Again, if you want, you can put Opportunal Fassi in that position, which I am going to do because you can obviously cover both the loose head and tight head. But again, his preferred is tight, so he'll be the tight head there. Again, you'll probably go. There's Tamati Williams, who's been pretty impressive this year. Angus Talbot, he's been on and off, I'd say. Nibalala, I'd probably go with him. I mean, again, he hasn't been playing as many minutes as he did last year, but again, he's been solid whenever he's played for the Blues, so I'd probably go Nibalala. And then, yeah, finish it off. I think Tyrell Lomax. He's having a really good season, actually, for the Hurricanes. I think he's one player who has actually been very underrated in terms of what he's done. I mean, I even remember that game against the Blues where he scored that try. He did like a little spin move, and then he scored that. I was like, whoa, it was a nasty move. But anyway, that's the six I've gone with in terms of the props. I mean, look, hookers, I think it's pretty easy. There's four in general, but I think the main three is really Takalaho, Cody Taylor, and then I think you have to go with Dan Cole just because he's been playing ahead of Asaf Moore within that Hurricanes side, and it's just he's had a lot more minutes under his belt, and of course this will be his last Rugby Championship for the All Blacks, so it's just one of those where I think you just got to go with him. Cody Taylor, again, he's his form was a bit like on and off really at the start of the season, but again he's really shot up now in terms of his form, so I think Cody Taylor definitely deserves to be in there. And then, yeah, what more can I say about Takalaho? He's just been sensational form. Even throughout last year, he was arguably one of the best players within the Rugby Championship. And then, yeah, he's been great this season for the Chiefs. So, yeah, it's just kind of a standard pick right there. And again, he'll be the starting hooker if anything goes bad. I can't see that happening, but he's definitely going to be the starting hooker. But, yeah, in terms of the locks, there's a lot of players you can go with there. I mean, there's 6 in total I've selected here, which is Retallick, Whitelock, Scott Barrett, Tupeloto, Josh Lord, and then I believe, what's the last one? Tupavala. And again, I think the obvious two is probably, Whitelock and Retallick. Those are the guaranteed two. Brings you a ton of experience. They've been in the All Blacks environments for such a long time now that it just kind of makes a lot of sense. And good to see Retallick back in Super Rugby. Again, I know he's going to return back to Japan after this year, but still, it's good to see him in that Chief setup. Having a really good season. And again, Whitelock's one of those players where he has actually played a lot this year, actually. I was about to say he hasn't, but he actually has. I mean, again, under him, you have Alexis Scott Barrett as well. Again, another player who's done pretty well for the All Blacks, and someone who's kind of continued that form, I'd say, within the Super Rugby season. So you got to go with Scott Barrett, I think. And then the finisher off, I mean, look, I'm not going to really think about Josh Lord here. I just think he hasn't had enough minutes under his belt to be considered. I think it's really between Tupavala and Tupolota, because Tupolota has come back from Japan. It's been pretty impressive since he's come back. But I just think you can't go wrong with Tupavala. He brings a lot of youth, obviously, towards that kind of lock position, and he's been brilliant for the Chiefs. I mean, this may be a bit of a shout here. Maybe I'm wrong here, but he's been on some of a level playing field, a level form, you could say, of talent. He's been that good this year, like that good. That's how high I think he's done this year in terms of that, in terms of the Super Rugby season for the Chiefs. But yeah, look, in terms of loose forwards, I mean, loose forwards, there's a lot of slots here, guys. I'm going to do this a bit more random here because I think there's just 4 guaranteed loose forwards you to go with here, which is Sam Kane, Papali, Arcevilla, and probably Tutu. Those are the guaranteed 4. I don't see anyone arguing against those 4 because they've just been sensational. I mean, Tutu, I can understand maybe a bit of an argument because he's not part of the starting squad, but at the same time, he's just one of those players where he's too good not to leave out. He's too good not to leave out. And he has been the best loose forward, I'd say, for the Blues this year. That may come as a shock because you expect me to say Papali, but Tutu's in better form than Papali, I think. So yeah, Tutu 100% gets in. In terms of the other 2, I mean, I'd probably go Jacobson. I think Jacobson's been pretty good for the Chiefs. He can cover 6, 7, and 8, so gives you a lot of versatility there. And then I think I don't know, because you got to cover the 6th position. I think a bit more. I don't know what to do. At this rate, I kind of thinking, do I bring like Valai and Scott Barrett at the 6, and then Tupolota in the lock? Nah, you can't go with that. I think it's either between Blackadder and I think Frizzell and Akira. Akira's now kind of coming back into form now, but again, he hasn't played a lot of minutes under his belt. Yeah, I just think Frizzell makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I think Frizzell just makes a lot more sense. I mean, again, I could be wrong there. Let me know in the comments if you guys disagree with that. Yeah, I just think that's kind of a good, solid 6 there to kind of build off a platform. But yeah, in terms of the Scrum-halves, again, another. It's only really, I think there's 5 actually this time I've gone with here. I mean, the obvious 2 is Aaron Smith and Brad Rupert. That's 100% the 2. That's no matter what, those are the 2. It's now really between these 3. You're gonna go with, and that's Finley Christie, Fla Fakatava, and then the bolter, Cameron Roigard. And I'll be completely honest with you guys here. I'm not even considering Fakatava. He hasn't had the season which you kind of expect. And again, he hasn't been really part of the All Blacks setup as what you would want as well. I just think that's really for after this Rugby Championship and Rugby World Cup. So he's just not in my thinking. He's really just not in my thinking. So I really think it's between Christie and Roigard. And in all honesty, I actually like the idea of putting Roigard in for this Rugby Championship squad and then let him have a bit of experience, and then you can choose a Christie maybe for the Rugby World Cup squad, and as a third choice, because again, he's been part of the All Blacks stuff already. So I think that's probably what I'm going to go with. But I mean, again, I know Christie's had a good year, guys. I mean, as a Blues fan, I know how good Christie's been. So, but I just think Cameron Roigard deserves to be in the squad at least, as a third choice. Get a few minutes under his belt. He's been brilliant for the Hurricanes this year. I mean, I think he's like 6 or 7 tries. So yeah, you got to award that at least. But yeah, in terms of fly halves, I mean, again, this is actually the easiest position. Actually, I don't know why this is the easiest section. It's not even close. It's Beauden Barrett, Richard Wonga, and Damien McKenzie. Straight out, them 3. Again, look, there is Stephen Perifetta there, but I'm not even going to think about you. That's for the future. It's them 3. It's not even a question. That's the 3 fly halves. We move on. Centers is where it gets a bit interesting because, again, there's a lot of centers you can go by. I think the obvious 2 is probably Havili and then Reiko. I mean, Havili, again, is coming back from an injury, but again, whenever he's played, it's been superb for the Crusaders. Reiko, at the same time, just a very consistent season. Yeah, he's been he's been impressive for the Blues. I think he scored 2 tries against Fiji Jura recently. So yeah, you got to back my boy, and he's signed a new contract as well. So it just shows him that he's like a long-term, player. He's there for the long term. So just shows he wants to build his legacy, as he said. But yeah, again, any other players? I think Antelota Brown, solid player, all-rounded. He is a bit injury prone. I understand that, but again, he's been playing very consistent throughout the season for the Chiefs. So I just think you have to reward him. So yeah, Antelota Brown. This is where it gets interesting because I could choose another center here if I wanted to, guys, or I could be bold and go with 5 in the winger/fullbacks. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go straight to the last spot, and then if I may go back to the center if I feel I need to add a center. So let's just do the winger / fullback first. Again, by the way, I forgot to mention the other centers there, but then, yeah, there's like what RTS, Goodhue, Enor, Levi Mua. Outstanding season, by the way, Levi Mua. Just want to give him a shout out because I think he deserves it. He's been brilliant for Rugby Pacifica, but again, a player who probably we'll see for the future if he comes into the setup or not. But yeah, in terms of the winger / fullbacks, look, there's Lester, there's Caleb Clark, there's Riasi, there's Mark Talea, there's Sean Stevenson. Oh, he's been good. There's Will Jordan, Jordy Barrett, and then yeah, Sam Gilbert. Again, another player who I just wanted to mention, Sam Gilbert. I think he's been pretty good for the Highlanders this year. I know, again, he's not going to get into the squad, but just someone I just want to put a bit of recognition for because I think he's one maybe for the future. We'll have to wait and see. But again, the obvious one I think first off is Jordy Barrett because he can cover the center and the winger fullback spots. So you got to love him. In terms of the other ones, I think Mark Talea, he's been brilliant for the Blues, and obviously got included with that All Black stuff last year. Was pretty impressive, I'd say, throughout the Autumn Nations, particularly in Scotland, where he got 2 tries. So yeah, just think more to come really from him. Hoping he can get a bit more minutes under his belt during this Rugby Championship. So yeah, Mark Talea, I think he deserves it. That's where it gets interesting because normally, Will Jordan's like the one you just split say, yeah, he's 100% in. But at the same time, he hasn't played for this whole Super Rugby season still. Because I think he has tonsillitis, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate because you just don't know the severity really of how long that he'll be out for. If he'll be like Rugby Championship out, will he be out for the World Cup? It hasn't really been said yet. I don't think it'll be that bad. Oh gosh, this is a tough call. You know what? I'm gonna say that he will be back because I just don't think he can't not be because I haven't seen any report to say anything else. So I'm gonna go Will Jordan. Yeah, I just think that makes a lot of sense. And then yeah, this is where it gets interesting because yeah, there's Riasi, Sean Stevenson, there's Caleb Clark, Lester. Oh, by the way, Lester, I saw there's reports now of him now. He could move on to France, I believe, to Toulon. I think it was the one that was linked heavily to, which is another blow really for the All Blacks. He's 23 years old. It's crazy to think, but yeah, if he's even considering a move, it just shows that the All Blacks kind of a bit, I guess what is it? The hold is really kind of losing itself a bit more now in terms of younger players now leaving, which is not a good sign. But I think so. This is the thing. I just don't know if he'll stay. I think you got to go because the thing is that Caleb Clark's actually done pretty well recently, I'd say, for the Blues. But beforehand, he was very average. Riasi's been a good season again for the Hurricanes. Sean Stevenson's been, yeah, he's the. If I'm talking about a bolter, he is the bolter of the season. He has been hands down the best player, I'd say, this year. It's only been again, I could be completely wrong here, but he has been the best player this year. I think he scored 9 tries already. 9 tries. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah, oh gosh. But again, the problem is that he doesn't play at the 11. He plays he can play as a 14 or a 15, which is a big problem because Will Jordan and Mark Talea already cover that. Oh, it's a bit annoying. I think you got to go with Lester. I think Lester's probably the obvious one, just because I want to go Caleb Clark, but at the same time, it's just Lester again. I'm going to ignore the reports, just say that he's in there. If not, then it's a straight shot for Caleb Clark. But this is where it gets interesting because this is where I can make my decision. If I want to put Sean Stevenson, that's the guy I'm thinking of really. If I put him into this in here, or do I go with a center? Because I can go with someone like who's most likely center? I'd say Goodhue's probably most likely. I'd say. Even Caleb Clark, if I wanted to as well, I could actually put him in. Ooh. Nah, I think it just feels right to put Sean Stevenson because I'm going off the same logic where it's one of those where it's like Cameron Roygaard, where you can kind of put him in for this Rugby Championship squad and then just not choose him really for the World Cup and then obviously just go on into the next cycle and he can be part of that next cycle. That's kind of the way I see it. I think you got to reward him. He's having a great year. And I hate how the All Blacks sometimes just don't choose players based on form. They've done it with Ben Lam, Mape. They've done it with a lot of other players I can name. But yeah, I think just Sean Stevenson's been brilliant for the Chiefs. So yeah, you can't not recognize that. So yeah, I think that's kind of it, really. I think that's yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the 33-man squad, guys. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you guys think. I will reply as normal. I'm always up for always love seeing comments in the video. And guys, like I said, like the video, guys. Would greatly appreciate it. And if you guys, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to our channel as well. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys next time.
Hey, feel I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that say stick up. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flick up. Feel I'm in the mood